Happy Friday, my friend. I'm Pat Sloan, and on Fridays we talk about all kinds of things, and usually there's some sort of sewing going on because we are doing the basket of blooms on Friday right now. Yes, and we get to go to the flower part. This is the pattern. But before we do that on our calendar, and because today is the opening ceremonies of the Summer Olympics, so we got to talk about our Olympic quilting dream team. I think this is so much fun. I did this one year on my Facebook group, said who would be on your quilting dream team if they were an Olympic event. If quilting was an Olympic event, who was going to make that team? I hope I make it. I hope I make it. So tell me down in the comments, who would you put on your dream team if you're over at Facebook? Tell me over there. Lots of fun. It's lots of fun to speculate. So how many people would be on a dream team for the Olympics for quilting? Do we need 12 players? Do we need 24? I don't even know. What's the game look like when you're playing for quilting? We should just all get a medal, right? I think that'll work. That'll work good. Look at my top. Does it look familiar? It sort of looks like my Morrison Park. I saw this on Kohl's, and I had to get it. I was getting something else, and I'm like, oh my goodness, it looks just like my fabric, almost. It has a pink background instead of white, but it's got paisleys. That's not exactly the same, but it's close, so I had to have it. So it's mine, all mine. Ta-da. All right, so we're going to look at doing the flowers for the basket of blooms. Those of you who are sewing along, you know this is a tiny quilt, and so the pieces are small. And once you get the flowers done, then I think they're the smallest pieces, or the more of them at once. And everything is sew and flip. So because I've done 2 tutorials now for you on sew and flip, you should be experts. The first tip would be, if you're using the kit, you're just going to have to sort of go slow because you can't really starch these guys. But if you're using your own fabric, you might want to go ahead and starch it first and then press it and then cut out your shapes. That will give you a little bit more firmness for these little pieces that are going on here. So let's look at the fabrics that we're working with. And I am working from the kit. So if you are as well, these are the fabrics that you have. So I have to get everything organized for the flowers. There's a background, which is this piece, and that came in the kit, and that is the background inside these flower parts. Okay, so that's used here, and then it's also used again in this inner border, the first inner border. These will be used with the lights that will come from the charm pack. So there's a whole group of lights. These and these will be that one inner border. So I'm going to use up the 2 charm packs for flowers. And then I group them in sets. So this is one flower, which has the big dogwood and this sort of starburst on the dogwood on peach. And then another flower is the raspberry kind of color, pinkish red, and the little dot and the dogwood. And then the third flower is the peach with the little dots and the smaller scale overall floral. So those are the 3 flowers, and that's important because, as you see, that's what we're going to build. Now on 2 of the flowers, these two, part of the unit has the green stem. So I'm taking the square of the green and putting that there. Your kit also has a big piece of green. And then this is the outer border. These are all for outer border. This is binding, and that's backing. So that's how the rest of your kit is. I am also going to do the leaves. So here are the 3 fabrics for the leaves. The ones with the darling sweet strawberries. This is called rhubarb and strawberries, I think is the name of the fabric line. And then these are the other 2 leaves. So this week we're going to cut all of these flowers and sew them up. So I'm going to do the 1 unit because one of the units is a sew and flip for the flower. And that is you know, the part that everybody gets a little crazy about, the sew and flip. You know, so basically this is what we're doing. We have center of the red or the peach, and then the outer corners. And I am going to go through and show you how I will do that. It's not hard. To get organized to sew this, I have cut one of the flowers, all the parts for one flower. And what I'll do is take them and put them on the design board so I can keep track of them and move them over to the sewing machine. And then as I sew one unit, I'll be able to put it together. So like these guys will ultimately be, let's just scroll in a little bit. Since this is one flower, these parts will be down like this, and they're actually out like this. Let me put these down here. And you've got one in the middle. And then you'll have more of these little babies here. Put those out. And then these units are all in the sections, and you can see one is green because that is the stem. And so in the pattern it has two of them with a stem unit, which are these two, and then this one does not have any stem unit. So there's the block. So that's all ready to go. So it's just some sew and flips on the corners. Now they are tiny, so being tiny, you want to be careful and take your time. The pattern tells you color placement, and you want to be very careful with that, where this red one goes in relation to the green on the one quadrant that has a green one, because otherwise your stem will be in the wrong place in comparison to where the red part goes. And then these are to the other two corners, and because I am on my Solaris, I am going to go ahead and set my laser light, and I know that that works good for me. So here we go. Now I've got my laser light down here, and I will be sewing end to end, following that red light right onto the patchwork. And here we go. So I'm taking it a little bit slow. There we go. Lift it up. And I'm also, you could also do a slightly smaller stitch length if you wanted, since these are small pieces, but honestly I don't do that. Okay, so there we have one of the units, and when I press it over, doing this one-handed, there we go, it goes right over to the edge. And so I'm going to press that down. So you want to press after each of these, or you can do two sides. Do two sides, but remember where your red one goes in relation to the green one so that you don't get that messed up. There are the first sides on, one on each end, and then I will add all these other, and remember the red one goes over here with the green guy. Here is where we are now. I have everything laid out, and this is the bottom flower, and you can see Joanna's pattern has everything numbered and laid out, so it's very easy to use. I do need to go and trim the second ones that third and fourth ones that I put on. I've already trimmed the first and the second ones. So once they're trimmed, I can put the flower together. One more tip, sew with the little economy blocks on the top, because then you can see these intersections. If you were to be sewing this way, you're sewing blind. You can't see any of your intersections. This is a perfect block to be using that method on the top. Remember when you are sewing these together to peek under here, see where that intersection is, line it up on the seam over here so that you have a nice junction when you come across. Ta-da! There is one sweet, sweet little flower. Oops, goes this way. It's so cute, it's so cute. All right, so I have two more of these to do. Another which has a green, and then one that doesn't have any green stem. What I'm going to do is continue on and make these during the week. I'll show you progress here on the video, and I will also get the leaves done. So I'm going to go ahead and take the three green pieces, and do the leaves, and probably if I might get the stems. If not, I'll get the stems and we'll do assembly next Friday, and then the Friday after that talk about all the border stuff, which is easy peasy. Once you get these three flowers done, it's smooth sailing to our adorable little project. I love this because the colors to me will be able to go into fall. Remember, we had the basket. Here's the basket. So I just think that this sort of peachy and green, it's nice and fresh. It's a light color. It's like, it feels like summer, but then it can go right into fall for decorating. So I am so excited. Can't wait. Now we will have, oh, here it is. You will have charm packs left. So I'm looking at what's in here and thinking, oh, I might be able to do a table mat. I might just take these and do a square table mat like for my end table in my dining room, in my living room. And that would be really cute. So it would kind of go along with it. So I'm looking at that, maybe taking just half square triangles and laying them out into a nice layout. So that will use up the rest of that charm pack, and then pretty much this whole thing gets used up. There won't be hardly any scraps. From making the flowers, once I get to the leaves, there might be a little bit, but this was my crumb block I did from the scraps from the basket. And I don't think there's going to be anything usable at this point from the flowers. I know doing this one flower, there was just, you know, like the strips are like this. So for those of you who do dog beds, there you go. You'll be able to put it in the dog beds, but it's not going to be going in my crumb block. Okay, so I hope you also will go out. Today is, I think tomorrow the charity quilt auction ends. So excited, so generous of those of you bidding on all the charity quilts for Make-A-Wish with the Fat Quarter Shop. So the links are down below in the description box, and when you're there, click that subscribe for me. Mwah! Then you will always be able to find me. Okay, my friend, time to make wee bitty precious flowers. It's so cute. You really must. You really, really must. All right, I love you. Mwah! See you online.